Hi, everybody. I am Tamara Lexo. I'm the Executive Director of Hopeful Hearts Ministry here with our fearless founder, Shannon Carr. She founded Hopeful Hearts Ministry 14 years ago. And today we have a very special show, edition, whatever you want to call this. So we have a woman that we just recently met here in Kingwood, Texas, and her name is Sarai Hurt, not
Such a
Sarai. We were just saying,
right.
because
It's
in
so
Texas, people
pretty.
want to make it the like the
Sarah,
Latin
Sarah,
version,
Siri, what is that? Siri?
right? Seriously, seriously. So, Sarai. So, Sarai, could you tell us? I know I was just asking you a little bit about tell us what you
Wait,
do.
before,
Right.
sorry, Tamara often forgets this,
I
but
do.
before she goes into anything, I want just to make a disclaimer. Anybody
Okay.
listening, because being that we'll probably put this out as
Mhm.
once she shares what she does, like we might have families that want to listen or something. And it's just, we never know what's going to be said here. We never know exactly what we're going to talk about. And often we talk about things you don't want little ears to hear, and it may not be good for them, or it could be triggering, which we'll talk more once we get more
Mhm.
of what her story is, just to forewarn any possible triggers or anything like that. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to
No,
say
that's
that.
good. And I do always forget it. So thank you for
So
being
you're
the
just so
other part of my
excited. You're
brain.
just so excited that we have a
Excited to
guest
get
on with
started.
us
I
that
know. Like we should.
what did she do? That's all. It's the anticipation. I just wanted to make it like, what,
No,
well, what does she
good.
do? Is she a stripper
Good.
like from Houston
She's
that
not
we
a
just like
stripper.
got? She's not a stripper?
She's not
Okay.
a stripper. Is that what are
I'm
we going to
not
play
either.
guessing
So
game? She's not a chef.
okay.
She's not a policewoman. Sarai, what do you do?
Hi guys. I am a medical massage therapist. I've been a massage therapist for 18 years. Why I got into massage therapy was because I wanted to learn something called cranial sacral therapy.
Mm.
And so that's where I have been diving into education the last couple years. So for people that don't know, because a lot of people think cranial sacral means I just give you a scalp massage, and I can totally do that. I'm a hairstylist, give
Mhm.
great shampoos and scalp massages, but cranial sacral is actually it's a very gentle technique. So if you're looking for like a deep tissue massage, that's not really what this is. You will be fully clothed during the session. And cranial sacral, it's a very gentle, hands-on technique that works with the brain and spinal cord and your cerebrospinal fluid to help calm your nervous system. So that helps your body shift out of survival mode and into a natural healing mode. This also helps to release deep tension around your brain and spinal column. I actually also go inside of your mouth to access these bones. So just I like to warn people of that the first time I massage them, right?
Just kidding.
You
It
go
just
inside the mouth.
I do. I go inside the mouth. So some of the bones, I can grab a skull if you want, but some of the bones are more they're better accessible when I go inside of your mouth. And it's actually very gentle. I'm not like digging around in the muscles.
Yeah.
I can do that as well for like temporomandibular joint disorders if you have lockjaw, but that's more of a massage technique. So by doing that though, I have had great benefits with relieving concussions, chronic migraines, sleep apnea, things like that. But what this does is it helps to reboot your nervous system so that your body can finally rest, repair, and regulate naturally. A lot of people feel kind of euphoric when I'm done. It's a very relaxing session. So cranial sacral helps to like calm the fight or flight responses in our body, reduces
No.
anxiety, helps with sleep and stress. And then that ties into somatic emotional release. So somatic emotional
Okay,
release is,
I'm gonna interrupt you
yeah,
just for a minute
absolutely.
because I have been seeing a lot about somatic release lately.
Yeah.
Like that, it's like the
Well,
new buzzword that keeps coming up on my TikTok and my Instagram feed, and it's there's all these
Yes.
apps that they want me to buy so
Yep.
that I can have the somatic release, and they all
Mhm.
promise that I'm going to get skinny. if I have a
No,
somatic
what
body.
the?
Everything, it's all about getting skinny these days.
I'm
If
like,
y'all were seeing me, I was looking for a friend of mine's business card. She was started out, she's a PT, she's a physical therapist, but now all she has done is she's an expert in how do you
Yeah,
say it? Cranial
craniosacral.
therapy. Yeah.
Yes.
craniosacral.
And I had never heard of it until I met her. And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
amazing the things that, yeah, so this is so interesting.
Okay, so
So
back to
interesting.
somatic. It's not a
Um,
get skinny quick thing.
No, no. We have actual somatic cells in our body, right? And those somatic
Hmm.
cells are what hold the information of the trauma we experience. So whether that's physical trauma, mental, emotional, our tissue, like our body literally keeps the score. I think
Yeah,
there's a book like
it
that, right?
does. Hmm.
Probably should read it. So no, somatic emotional release, what it does is it's a body-based therapy that allows me to access that the stored emotional trauma, like I was just saying, and we safely release it through the body without you having to relive the trauma. So I know some
Mm-hmm.
therapies have you like relive it and reframe it.
Hmm.
Um, we more tune into what your body is actually wanting to access. So Dr. Upledger is who founded cranial sacral and somatic emotional release back in the 80s. And he basically believes, just like chiropractors do, that your body can heal itself naturally. So we tap into that inner knowing, that inner part of you that already knows how to heal your body, and we ask it, what does it need? And then I guide you through that so that we can release whatever is stored in your body. And there is some reframing that goes along with it, but it's a
Hmm.
very gentle, like I'm guiding you with more with Gestalt theory. So basically changing your perception on things, right? Um, and honestly, when I did the classes, I did 2 weeks back to back of somatic classes. And over those 4 days, I just basically cried it out. So you can
Hmm.
cry this out, you can get angry, things like that. But those are all just emotional releases that are stored in your body. So different parts of your body store different emotions. Like your heart obviously is going to store grief, your liver is going to store anger, your spleen stores like disappointment and things like that. So we also access different meridian points as well, to help the nervous system function better and calm it down. So no, you're not going to get skinny from somatic emotional release, unfortunately,
Oh.
but maybe the mindset
Maybe
change.
unless you're, maybe unless you're an emotional eater, so then if you go
Yeah.
through it and you let
Hmm.
go of some of these things, then you don't
Yeah.
find yourself eating that
Yeah.
way anymore, which probably could then result in a positive bonus of,
Hmm.
losing the
Yeah.
weight. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so your liver stores anger
Anger,
Yeah.
which is
and Chardonnay.
per-
That's
true.
And
right.
Chardonnay.
That's right. Well, you're
Absolutely. It's on tap.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, it sounds about right, man.
Seriously.
I think
So,
this
okay,
is so interesting.
Thank
it is. So, what does a session look like with you? Like, wh- if I'm coming to see you today and
Right.
I walk in, you said I'm fully clothed.
Yes. Yeah. So you're usually laying on my massage table. You'll be fully
Hmm.
clothed. I can cover you up with a blanket. I so that's a traditional way to do it. I have found that adding in massage therapy with a somatic emotional release
Hmm.
helps your body relax better and allows you to go deeper.
Okay.
But traditional session, you are just laying fully clothed on my massage table, and honestly, like a lot of times you think you're coming in for this issue and we end up addressing a different issue.
Okay.
Or we go down a rabbit hole. So it could be a lot of different things. A lot of times we end up connecting with your inner child. I do have you at first go to a safe place inside of your mind so that you do feel safe to travel down the trauma that we're about to experience,
Mm.
and kind of tune into your higher power and to your inner wisdom of what your body needs. And once I get you into that calm, relaxed state, then we start dialoguing a little bit. I use different holds on your body. So our body holds this trauma in certain places. So by me placing my hands there and basically directing energy towards it, that will help it to release. It's also, and then these like energy cysts, that's what we call them, because that's where it, like the trauma basically gets stored in a bundle. It's kind of like when you get an impact from a car accident,
Mm-hmm.
that force gets stored in your body, right? And that's the same
Right.
type of concept of even emotional trauma, mental trauma. It's a different kind of force, but that gets stored
Mm-hmm.
into our body. So by me holding it there and us talking about whatever it might be, tuning into your inner child, helping your inner child feel safe, feel loved, finding out what it actually needs, then we're able to dissipate that force of energy that has been stored in your body, and then let that go. So again, it's not
Does
really
it,
a cookie cutter. Yeah.
yeah, is it physically hurt in any way?
No, nope. No. And that's the
I mean,
interesting
it
part.
can. I know when you cry and you let out that maybe it,
Yes.
and I
So,
people are afraid of therapy because of having to
Right.
feel
yeah.
that
Cry and feel.
pain or yeah.
100%. Yeah. So the funny thing is when we find the energy that's stored in your body from this trauma, you will feel like a superficial pain. You know what I mean? You'll feel discomfort in that area. And that's how I know I'm in the right spot, right? So when I
Mm.
tune into your cerebral spinal fluid, what I'm checking for is the rhythm of it to turn off. And when the rhythm turns off, that's how I know you're internally working through something. And it's kind of like a lie detector, and I'm just asking you like, hey, what's going on there? Tell me more about what you're feeling right now, what you're thinking right now. Or however the conversation starts to flow, it just happens in the moment, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
um
Mhm.
so it's more about releasing it in a gentle way that is safe for you. So I do also partner with different counselors. And if you are seeing a counselor, I would want to be in contact with them as well, because I'm not a counselor. I'm not a mental health therapist. I'm just there
Okay.
to help guide you through stuff. So if we do start getting to some of that deeper things, we can stop and won't go any further. I honor your boundaries 100%. And then I would also want to tell your counselor, like, hey, this came up today. Maybe you need to dive a little bit deeper into a session on this topic, because we didn't want to go any further. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fantastic. You know, something interesting that Myra, that is my friend, she's in Beaumont, not Beaumont, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Um, she was saying either she's done it or she was just talking about it, but like babies that have been born like with drug addictions because the mom
Yeah.
Mhm.
was a meth addict or something like that,
Yeah.
that they can be worked with, like she's worked with a baby before,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And has able to kind of help with that recovery of when you have this child that is, like fetal alcohol syndrome or whatever it is that they call that. I don't even know what they call that. But
Yeah, absolutely. And I do know a chiropractor in Magnolia. She is a specialist with babies, and she does do cranial sacral work with the babies as well, and not necessarily drug addicted ones, but it was interesting. God brings people into your life when you need them, right? Or when they need
Mhm.
you.
hmm
And I met a gentleman a couple days after finishing my last class. He was a pastor, and I went and massaged him. And I was like, "Oh, I just finished this class. Do you want to try somatic emotional release?" And he's like, "Oh my God, I've been looking for a therapist that does that." And I was like, well, here I am. And the great thing, well, not the great thing, but he basically had adopted three children who were drug babies. They were brothers and
Hmm.
sisters, and they all had different stuff going on. And it was a lot for him. So I was able to help him find grace within himself, but also have hope and find tools. So we looked up on the Upledger website. You can actually look for different craniosacral therapists in your area that do the somatic emotional release. There's different levels. There's probably like 50 different classes. I just did the first four. So it goes into more advanced stages where you also get more advanced learning on working with babies. So anyways, I connected him with a craniosacral therapist in his area so that the children can also do craniosacral and the somatic emotional release. And one of them, the crazy thing, we do like a rebirthing where we can take a negative birthing experience and reframe it, where you relive it in a healthy way, though, not a traumatic way. We don't relive the trauma. We reframe it so you can relive it in a healthy way, so that your subconscious, our minds are so powerful. When we put something in there, it believes it to be true. And so by doing that, that also helps to heal our body. So I'm excited to hear from him. He's keeping me posted on the kids and how craniosacral and somatic therapy is helping them. So I'm super excited to see how that can help change their behavioral, I don't want to say dysfunctions, but them acting out in certain types of
Mhm.
way. Because Dr. Upledger, he first started this working with autistic children and children with behavioral problems, right? And just changing the little tiny structures in our brain, in our skull, can actually help
Mhm.
our nervous system to function better, so that we're able to regulate our emotions in a more balanced way.
That's so
Mhm. Yeah,
fascinating. I
it
Right?
think I
is.
love this. I had no idea. I really was like a, what does she do for me? And so this
Yeah.
is so fascinating. And and, and if people are listening, anybody listening to this thinking, oh, whatever, this is just, you
Mm.
know, voodoo, whatever,
Mhm.
I know that there are people out there that maybe think that, but
Yeah.
this is the more that I deal with, like my son goes, he's going to be a DO. And a lot of people now go to DOs because they
Yeah.
learn a lot of this. So he's a medical doctor who will also have other, there's
Mhm.
Osteopath.
other aspects of your body, because it stores so much energy. And one thing I want to say to that, there's two things I have to say. So real quick, I know Tamara
Mm.
probably has a lot to say too, but think about it, when someone passes, especially if you're a Christian and you believe that we go to heaven after we die, that we have a
Have a
spirit
spirit.
inside. When you die, you literally, like, the body, I think, loses some weight from that
Mhm.
energy leaving, right? We are an energy, we are a spirit, we are that. So it makes
Yes.
sense to me that that is how we would be the most affected. And that's what, yes, we need to rely on the Lord, rely on the word. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. Yes, we need to do that. I was listening to some preacher say something like, don't do self-help books, just read the word of God. And I get that, but sometimes you can't just, like, you do have to move in order for God to work, right?
Absolutely.
And when these things happen that are not, in my opinion, of what God wanted, right?
Mhm.
I mean, any kind of trauma, any kind of tragedy, any kind of abuse, addiction, whatever, it's not what God desires for us. It's not what he
Mhm.
wants. And I can see how that if it gets stored within our energy in some way, someplace, how we would need to try to help release that. So I think that's fantastic. The other thing that you were talking about, the rebirthing aspect.
Mm.
8 years, I mean, it's been a long time ago, 8, 9 years ago, I was asked to speak because we do work with therapists. We're not therapists either, but we do, in the same sense, we don't help on a
Yeah.
energy physical level, but we
Mhm.
definitely believe that there is an aspect of just joining along with somebody, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that you can talk to somebody
Mm.
and that you're there is a part of
Absolutely.
that healing, right? And so many therapists have come to us saying, hey, I have somebody that I just need you to be on this journey with, right? And so
Mhm.
I went into Houston and spoke at it was all there, all licensed counselors, and I was speaking, but they also had another therapist speaking who is a neurologist, like focused on the neurology of what happens when we go through trauma and that sort of thing. And she was, I mean, even though I was speaking and kind of sharing part of my story and sharing what I do with Hopeful Hearts, she then started using my past experience as an example. I gave her permission, but as an example of some things. And because my mom was abused by the same abuser, obviously, that abused me, when she was pregnant with me and probably with all of us, that trauma affected me within
Mm-hmm.
the womb too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so, whether it is addiction, whether it is just because of her own personal hurt and anger and everything else that has had bottled up for the last, however many years, that can affect you. And so it's so fascinating to me, all the little things. So she was talking about, like, how we get rocked in the womb, and then sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
we can find a way to soothe ourselves. A big part of me and healing, or even going through life. I don't do it now anymore. I must be healed from some of it, but I used to rock in a rocking chair and listen to music, and it would help me to detach and to think. And I did it from when I was 2 years old up through, having babies. I probably just didn't stop doing it until probably about 8 years ago, right? But it was the only way
Mm-hmm.
that I could get centered, and was to be in this kind of
Rock.
weird
Oh,
motion. Yeah. Which anyway, sorry, I went off on a little tangent, but
no.
everything you're saying is like just
Light bulbs, light
any
bulbs, light bulbs.
I love
I
it.
was gonna say that because there's been so many things that I've read recently where science is catching up with the psychology part of this, the spiritual part of this, where like what you were saying, Shannon, where you talk about with the, a baby in the womb is it being affected by, the cellular on the cellular level as the mother. And that once we give birth, that we keep cells of our children
Yeah.
in our body. And that fascinates me, first of all. But how that energy, we learn in elementary school that cells store energy, and to think that we're storing all of that in there. And I read something yesterday that was talking about this study where they scanned the body and when the brain would light up in certain areas when they talked about certain things, and which we know we've seen that, but when they would talk about trauma and how some people that had really blocked some things away, like their brain would almost go dark and still in that moment and when they would talk about this trauma, but other areas of their body would light up. And it was like, holy crap, like that energy is like, it really is stored, like you said, like a car accident, that force is there, a punch is there, it's like your heart is going to light up and your lung or your liver or whatever, these areas, like the energy would light up on this. I wish I could find, I should have saved that article, but um,
Mhm.
it just makes sense now to, when you say, okay, well, we're going to release this because you've stored this, your body has stored this pain
Mhm.
from your past. It's stored it there. And we just need to squeeze your pancreas and get rid of here.
So
With it.
I'm very interested. What led you to go down this path?
Well, there are a couple different instances, two people in my life that affected me greatly. One of them is my baby sister. She had a complication after kidney surgery that activated her own PTSD. So she's allowed me to share her story a little bit. She is an ex-drug addict. She lived on the streets. Her ex-husband tried to kill her. Like a lot of traumatic things happened
Mhm.
to her. Jesus saved her. She ended up staying with a pastor for a year that helped her with her trauma. And she's a drug and alcohol counselor now, and she's living
Wow,
her
that's
best life.
awesome.
So yes. But when the kidney surgery happened, um, her somatic side kicked in. So she started having something called psychosomatic seizures. And at first she thought the doctor was telling her that the seizures were in her head. So she had over 100 seizures for 5 days. What happened was the drainage tube was on a nerve, and somebody made her get out of bed, and it caused her so much pain that her somatic system shut down and went into fight mode. So I literally saw how the trauma we store in our body can actually physically harm us. So for a year, her whole left side presented like a stroke. She didn't have a stroke, but she had no function of her left side for over a year. Yeah. So I took her to physical therapy for a year. We were able to retrain her brain to make her muscles function. So I don't know if you've ever had surgery before, but your brain, you have to literally tell it to lift your leg. So lifting her leg, even like an inch, took so much brain power. It was exhausting for her. But over the course of a year, we were able to get her functioning again, get her muscles to wake up again. But yeah, that was my first instance of really seeing the somatic, how trauma affects the somatic system in
Mm.
action. Um, and then on a more emotional side, one of my really good friends, he is special forces in the army, and I just noticed that he was very hyper vigilant. He could never really, he wasn't very emotionally regulated a lot of times. And working, I'm from Seattle, Washington, so I actually lived by JBLM, which is Joint Base Lewis McChord. And so not just him, but I started seeing a pattern in veterans, active duty. I talked to a gentleman who was head of psych for the VA, and the trauma that these men are storing in their bodies from the emotional weight, the moral injury, the hypervigilance they have, their bodies are constantly in survival mode. So it really touched my heart. Along with my sister, she really had she cared a lot about those first responders, military, things like that. But too many soldiers commit suicide, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna cry. And it's not okay. We send them off to protect us, and then we don't help them learn how to regulate the emotions we told them to shut off.
Hmm.
Um, and so a lot of them, I don't know if you know anybody that have served, most veterans, even older ones, they don't talk about the things that they did
Hmm.
or that happened. And we don't talk about those things, then we store them. One of my clients said her husband said that he like put it inside of a box and threw it off a cliff in the ocean in his mind, right? So, but that's just festering. And when we let that stuff fester, that's how we create diseases in our body. That's how we don't have healthy relationships with our loved ones. Or ourselves. So, my passion and my purpose right now is to help veterans, help active duty first responders, really anybody with trauma, but those are my main people I want to reach, so that because I want to honor them and what they sacrificed and help them be able to live fuller, healthier lives, more fulfilled.
Mm. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for even doing that. My older brother and sister, my half brother and sister, and their father served 3 tours in Vietnam. And when he came back, of course, this is my mom's story. I know she wouldn't mind. She talks about it a lot, but it'd probably be fascinating if she wrote a book one day. But there was just, he would have these flashbacks and things, and it would try to harm my mom or harm my brother and sister. They ended up getting divorced. I believe the military, I mean, they like the army made, or the Marines made them kind of get a divorce. It was too
Right.
dangerous for my mom to be with him. And I think he got better, but he ended up committing suicide when they were 15 and 16 years old, after he had had another child, and realized like I'm not going to get out of this. And just to know that there's these therapies out there that could possibly help, relieve some of that pain and or thoughts or whatever it is that they, see and visualize over and over again. It's definitely a need for sure. For sure.
So, as we are in the thick of the holiday season now, just that in and of itself can trigger a lot of people. Um, the holidays can bring so much pressure for us to, be sparkly and be merry and be bright. And sometimes we're just not feeling it. And um, I think a lot of people will try to recreate holidays, like, okay, well, I'm going to make it better for my kids or for my family because my holidays sucked as a child, or it was like, everything was so quote unquote perfect for our Christmases as a child that now I have to have all that pressure to make it perfect for my family. So, um, one thing before I want to ask you another question, we have another friend that's a therapist that she said, just remind people to call their therapist now because you want to get in. She's like, this is the busiest time of year to get in to see your therapist. She's like, so make sure you just schedule some check-in appointments. Um, and if you don't feel like you don't need them, then you can cancel them, but get on their calendars because um, you have to be proactive on that kind of stuff. But talk to me, Sarai, about um, talking to your inner child. I know we talked a little bit before we started recording, um, and some of that healing work that we have to do.
Yeah, I mean, so when we're children, that's when we learn our survival mechanisms, right? We learn from our parents, whether those are healthy coping mechanisms or unhealthy coping mechanisms, that gets
Mhm.
stored as an automatic response in our amygdala, right? Um, so sometimes those habits, those triggers aren't healthy for us or the people around us. So, really tuning in to that little girl, little boy inside of you and asking it what it needs, whether that's love, safety, a hug.
Mhm.
Like mine, she was like curled up in a ball. And by the end of the session, we were like twirling around, happy, and so it's
Yeah.
really envisioning these things in our mind and really talking to our inner child and asking it, like, what did you need? Also, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel like you're afraid? Why do you feel like you were unloved or unworthy? Or, those negative self talk that we have in our
Mhm.
head, we have to reframe it and make it to where that is no longer going to trigger us to act in an emotionally dysregulated way, or also like use drugs to escape the feelings
Mhm.
of
Mm-hmm.
abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it might be. um Helping that little girl to know that it's okay that she was angry, but maybe that anger isn't serving her anymore. But it is more about you getting to that place on your own, whatever that is. But once we are able to connect with that inner child part of us, which definitely gets triggered around the holiday season,
Yes.
um, probably more so than usual, then I think we are able to reprogram our minds and
Hmm.
start making better habits and better choices that aren't that 5-year-old or that teenage. And we can talk to different parts of you too, right? So maybe your younger self was actually your wiser self and your teenage self is the
Hmm.
problem,
Right.
So we can go back and like Shannon was saying, we can even go and talk to the part of you that was inside of the womb. We did that with one
Hmm.
of the girls in class. She was the model for the rebirthing process that day. And it was all the different stages of life. So we can even do like a death stage, help people,
Hmm.
move on in life. But we went back to her in the womb and helped her have a healthier rebirthing process and like what she was feeling in the womb. So it's not just the 4 or 5-year-old little you. We can
Hmm.
talk to any different stage of yourself and find out like what did it need in that moment that it wasn't able to get and how can we meet that need now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So many of us, if we get together with family, we immediately jump into the role that we played as a child. So it's like the firstborn comes in and is going to be, bossing and handling everything, and the baby's going to be doing the baby things, and you know, all the. I'm an only child, so I don't know what those people do, but I'm the bossy baby. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but we jump into those roles, and so to have some sort of therapeutic work, before you go into that, and to have language to be able to talk to yourself, where it's like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go to the restroom. I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and say, you don't have to play this role
Right.
today.
Mhm.
Yes.
You are healthy. You are wise. You can eat the cookie. You
Mhm.
can, you know, drink the eggnog, but you don't have to drink the whole bowl of eggnog. You know,
Right.
the
Hmm.
things that we were taught to do to, escape the difficult. So, but it's a lot of work in the beginning, I think it's a lot of work to teach yourself to be cognizant of those feelings. And it's just something that has to be practiced, I think, just like everything else, where you're speaking kindly to yourself on a
Hmm.
regular basis so that when you get in those situations, you can handle them better. But um, so what does it look like? You do this in your home? Do you have a place where you do this? Like if
Yeah.
someone wanted
So,
to schedule a session with
um,
you, how does that work?
yeah, so I can come to your house if you feel more
Mhm.
comfortable there. But I actually just partnered with Bear Claw Medical in Kingwood.
Oh yeah.
So I
Hmm.
will be renting a space there with Dr. Dawn. And she also has a nurse practitioner there as well. So we
Hmm.
are basically going to be a full service medical facility,
Yeah,
which is
she's fantastic.
fabulous.
She's
I
my
am a huge fan of
chiropractor.
Dr. Dawn.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah. So I'm super excited. I'm gonna help save her body by loosening the muscles before they go get adjusted. But even just doing the cranial sacral work, like that will release your neck, which will also make your adjustments more beneficial. And I just really love her approach. She is like the kind of there's probably only been I've done doing this for 18 years. I've met a lot of chiropractors and physical
Hmm.
therapists, and only three have impressed me, and Dr. Dawn is one of them. Because I always tell
Oh,
people a sign of a good chiropractor is one that teaches you to strengthen and stretch and actually get your body to function properly without you having to
Hmm.
come in 3 times a week for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And
mhm.
that's her goal, right? She actually wants to get you better. And I love
Right.
that. And then her also adding in the nurse practitioner. So that way, then we also have, other medical needs that can be fulfilled as well. I think that's amazing. It's going to be kind of like a one-stop shop for everyone. But yeah, I will be there Tuesday through Fridays from 10 to 9. So if you have, need to come in after work, and then Saturdays from 9 to 2 for people that can't come in during the week.
It's amazing.
Wow. And so and maybe you don't want to share this on this podcast, but you can give like a rough range. I mean, is this hundreds of dollars an hour?
100.
Like it seems like it's worth it, like
Yeah.
or is it like
Millions of
doing a
dollars.
normal massage kind of price or
No, it's not, because this is such a specialty. Like, I'm sure nobody's even
right,
heard of this. There's probably maybe 1,000 practitioners in
right.
all of the world. I mean, there might be more, but it's a very
Hmm.
rare specialty.
Hmm.
And I've done a lot of training for it. I'm also a life coach and a transformational specialist. So you're not just getting massage and somatic therapy. I can also help guide you in many different ways. So yeah, the price
You
is a
don't have to give
little,
the price here. I'm just saying, like, I mean, and
Yes.
I'm being serious because that's the first thing
yeah.
I would hear if I was just listening to random.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that sounds fascinating, but I'm sure, like I said, thousands of dollars or something. And
Yeah,
then,
Hmm.
I mean, so the great thing, so like I said, I did 2 weeks of these classes back to back. So I had 8 days of
uh
somatic therapy. And I can tell you, even after the first four, I felt transformed. Then the next four, I'm a completely different person.
Hmm.
I
hmm.
actually had an incident where I put it to practice and was able to stay emotionally regulated when somebody was trying to trigger me. And I did not take the bait. But yeah, so I guess it varies for everybody how effective it can be, how quickly.
Hmm.
So it's not like a massage where you need to come in once every 2 weeks or once a month to maintain it.
Sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It would be more like you come in, we talk a little bit, figure out what your expectations, what your goals are, and
Hmm.
then we set like a 4 to 6 week session and then reevaluate and go from there.
Hmm.
So I do have packages that people can buy. I also have like
Oh, okay.
afterpay where you can do like a payment plan type of a thing. And
Hmm.
if you don't
Hmm.
qualify for that, then you can just set it up with me. I want to make sure that it is accessible to the people that do actually need it
Yeah.
and want to put the
Right.
work in too. So I guess that's also why it is priced a little bit higher, because I want to make sure people are actually
Sure.
wanting to help themselves, because
Hmm.
I'm not like, this isn't just a get quick, get
Right.
better quick type of a thing. You
Right.
have to actually do the work.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like I
And
said, I'm sure
unfortunately,
it's
putting
worth it.
money to it makes people more accountable sometimes. So
Yes,
um,
ma'am.
you have to
Absolutely.
do
No,
that.
I mean,
So
thank you just for answering that, just because I feel like
Yeah.
it's important that somebody needs to know, that you're out there,
Mhm.
you're willing to, at least that they need to put forth the effort too,
Mhm.
also, and put forth what's needed in order to help better themselves. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's one thing that Tamara and I, just in because what we do, we're a nonprofit. So like all donations help us, but so we don't charge, but we know that like they do need to go to a therapist or they do need to come see somebody. You know what I mean? Um, but if like I won't, I hate to sound like this, but it's like I don't want to work with you unless you come to me to want the work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Unless you come to me and say like, no, I'm scared. I'm fearful. I have these thoughts. I mean,
Mhm.
because most everybody typically is if they've never really talked about what's been happening in the past or what's going
Mhm.
on. But they need to have that want and desire. And then it helps us to know of all these things that could be beneficial and helpful to get people to where, they need to be and are fully thriving in their life. So I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
So if someone wanted to book a session with you, then they would just go to Bear Paw Chiropractic.
No, so I'm basically my business inside of AirPaw. So
Uh,
you would go to my website, which is hurtwellness.com.
okay.
And then all my services are listed on there with the prices, packaging, um, things like that.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Hurt Wellness
you can book
dot.
on them. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Great.
HURT, Hurt
Yes.
Wellness. Is that
Wellness.
really your last name?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Like that's providential.
You think?
Right?
Your last name will be Hurt and you will help hurt people. There
Yeah.
you go.
Exactly.
That's
Indeed.
amazing.
I mean,
Amazing.
Shannon Carr. I should have been a car salesman, I guess, or something. I don't know,
Mhm.
but that's okay.
Yeah. That's great. Well, Sarai, I am so thankful for you and for the work that you're doing. Um, I have so many more questions and I want to book a session with you and experience all of this now. Um,
Absolutely.
so I had
If
I
if that happens, I propose if Tamara were to come to
uh
you, then that means after some point we need a follow-up to hear
yeah. Uh-huh.
what
Absolutely.
Tamara's
Oh yeah, definitely.
experience was and how, if Tamara is willing, I've put her on the spot. I've put
No, I
you on
would
the
be
spot. I've
because
put her on the spot.
but here's the thing. So like I have had this terrible hip pain for
Oh,
years.
okay.
And I went to the doctor earlier this year and saw like a um, not a physical therapist, like a I don't know. Anyway, this doctor he had me do X-rays and I had an MRI done and all this, and he was like, "Well, you're holding all your trauma in your hips," and I was like,
Oh.
"Well, I need you to get it out. I need you to get it out for me." Um, so I did physical therapy for a little while, but it was just it wasn't helping. But Lynn
Right.
Fetter, who works with us for Hopeful Hearts, she does wellness sessions. We have the first and third Monday of every month at the Kingwood Community Center. Does these wellness sessions where she teaches breathing techniques and stretching and things. But she did a
And
special
she works
session.
off the meridian too. I
Does
heard you
so she
mention
did
that. So yeah.
a special session with me at her house where we did some things on the Pilates machines, the reformer,
Yeah.
and she's talking to me and she's like guiding my body and she's like being so gentle and like she had like spread my hips, had like one of my legs she pressed up in a way, and it did not hurt, but all of a sudden I am sobbing. I mean, I
Yeah.
was just sobbing, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." And when she let go and like I put my leg back down, then I stopped, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay, like this is so freaky, but it's like it's true. Our body just it stores up So I need to do some more work and get the trauma out of my hips.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I got you.
Um, yeah. So I'll definitely be looking into this, and then we can do a full report back on how it works. So
Sounds
that'll be
great.
good. Well, thank you for being with us today. I
Thank you for
appreciate
inviting
you,
me.
yes, just sharing your story and what you do and how you're helping people. And if anyone is listening, it's perkwellness.com. You can reach out to her. And if you'd like to learn more about what Hopeful Hearts Ministry does, you can find us at hopefulheartsministry.org. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. We're just all over the place, working like hope dealers, spreading hope to everybody. So
I love it.
what we
Oh
do
my
out there.
gosh.
So
I
um,
don't know if we meet again before Christmas. I don't think we have another podcast, or do
no,
we?
I don't think so.
I have
So I
one
hope,
down, maybe,
yeah.
possibly. But if we don't, because don't
Hmm.
rely on us like that.
Right.
But then Merry Christmas. If we do, we'll say it again. But Merry
Yeah.
Christmas and truly enjoy your families. And as Melina said, make your appointment with your therapist now. Maybe have a session
Hmm.
before Christmas. Definitely have an appointment for after.
Hmm.
Already set.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with that being said, also, everything is a choice that we make. We do make
Yes.
choices. If you want to have a good, calm, non whatever threatening Christmas, then
Uh-huh.
you can make a choice for who you are around. Maybe if you can't, then maybe you need to work with one of us to help you figure out how
Mhm.
to work through that.
Gotta set
And
boundaries.
that's right.
Yes.
And, and come to know what those triggers are, plan ahead, be intentional to say, if I feel this way, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to walk, I'm going to
Mhm.
do something different. So there's all these types of things. I know that we've had certain posts and things about them as well. So I just wanted to say that, happy holidays, but Merry Christmas. I like to say Merry Christmas. And Sarai, thank you so, 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 so much for being on here. I just want to say it too. I got so giddy when I found out what you're doing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something that I've been hearing about too. And,
Yeah.
and I really hope people look you up just to learn more as well. And yeah, good luck with everything that you have going on. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you. I
Well, thanks for
appreciate it.
listening today. Bye.